grades in your homeschool? I get asked this a lot, especially in the back half of the school year. And today I've got a great homeschool tip on this from, you ready? A regular old school classroom. Who knew? Yeah. I just spent the last 2 years teaching in a private school, and I learned a lot about grading, some of which has changed a few of my views about how handing out grades should work in your homeschool. There's some stuff that we need to talk about, like, let's see, when grading is necessary, or at least helpful, how to set up grading criteria, and most importantly, what can you use in place of grades? So let's dive in, because Homeschool University is now in session. That's right, I'm back! That's right, I have returned from 2 years of teaching high school classes in a private K-12 school, mainly English, U.S. and world history, government, economics. You know, interesting experience to say the least, but I am so grateful to be done. I adored my students, and I love the teaching itself, but grading all those essays, yeah, just did me in. No, being paid for a 40-hour week, but working 60? Yeah, that just wasn't a good time either. Not to mention, I became the worst version of myself. Many of the things that I have always believed to be true about education and learning mostly went woohoo, bye-bye, right out the window. Yep. I became a slave to, I don't know, my grade book, assessment testing, and worse, to admin expectations. Ugh, this was truly depressing. However, I did learn a lot about grading that applies to every grade and stage of learning in your homeschool. Yeah, because tell you what, I really didn't use grading in my homeschool, but yet I've known homeschoolers that did. So anyway, this just sort of sorted that all out for me. I'm going to break all this down under the headings of elementary, middle school, and high school levels because it's easier to see the practical applications in context. So there you go. This is the experience that I'm leaning on to bring you the homeschool inspiration in this video. And hey, before we get into the meat and potatoes here, just a reminder that if you enjoy this video, yeah, give it a thumbs up. And while you're at it, subscribe, that's right, so you don't miss a single new Homeschool University video. When I talk about the elementary years, I'm thinking a 5th grade and below, like under age 11 or so. This is really the stage when your child decides to either love or hate school. For most kids at this age, too much pressure on achievement is a really big negative. Learning should be an adventure, not an exercise in frustration and failure. So in school, I spent a fair amount of time, that would be my lunch hours, reading aloud down in the elementary classrooms. I don't know, because I love reading aloud. So anyway, I got to know the kids pretty well. Inevitably, if I came into crying or tantrums or maybe just plain bad attitudes, oh my gosh, it was usually about grades, as in the dark side grades. Or even worse, the I got better grades than you, na 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 na. Yeah, those wars. Either way, wasn't conducive to learning. So at this age, it's really tempting to think that grades create, incentive. That mythical unicorn that convinces a child to work harder at something completely uninteresting. No. At this age, incentive is the direct result of personal interest. If I want to learn X, Y, or Z, hey, I will. So the bottom line here is this. You don't need grades to evaluate your young, elementary-aged child's progress because you work alongside them every day, yeah? And since grades shouldn't equal incentive at this stage anyway. Why use them? Create a love of learning in your homeschool. Pursue the adventure of finding stuff out and knowing cool things. Yeah, grades, schmades, nah, you don't need them. Okay, raise your hand if you're surviving the middle school years. This would be like 6th through 8th grade, ages 11 to 14, better known as drama. So my first year in the classroom, I took over the 7th and 8th grade English classes mid-year for a teacher that moved on. As soon as I caught that "this is wasting my time" vibe in those rooms, I decided to pretty much abandon daily assignment grading because these kids had already gamed the system, right? For some now, this change totally worked. Once grades weren't an issue, they felt free to, I don't know, try, even if that didn't always go well. However, there were others who absolutely could not get through an assignment without a grade. They needed that tangible reward, which is something, I'll be honest, I did not expect. I thought they would all be thrilled to be free from the grade book. Ha! Silly me. Now, this is not to say that good grades inspired good work. It just gave these kids a reason to live one more day. So, what's the lesson here for your homeschool? Well, first, if you're dealing with motivation issues, it might be time to roll out the old carrot and stick approach, as in effort equals benefits while lack of effort equals consequences. And then be creative. Now, in my oldest son's case, a benefit was a whole pizza to himself on pizza night. Yep. That same child would feel actual pain if forced to do extra credit work in his free afternoon time. Oh my gosh, grades cannot beat a program of individualized incentives. But maybe you've got that kid at this age that lives for a good grade. Fine, as long as you establish grading criteria. What will it take to earn an A on a particular assignment? Be specific, put it in writing, make your child sign the document, if you will, that he or she understands. Let me give you some examples of the kind of criteria we're talking about. Now, when I talk about sample grading criteria, I'm referring to something you need to set up because it's not a subject with built-in grading criteria, like math. You look at a math book, it's pretty easy to know how your grades are going to be based. You're going to have daily assignments, you're going to have quizzes and tests, boom, you're done, right? This is for more soft subjects that you don't have that built in, but you still need something to attach grades to that your child clearly understands. So this first one I've got is US or world history. I'm listing these as at high school level, but you could also easily use them in the middle school years if you need to do that. So you've got your grading scale, right? A, B, or C. Oh wait, there's no D. Oh wait, there's a note. Less than 70 points will require additional coursework until 70 or above is reached. Ain't nobody gonna fail a class in homeschool. Sorry, that doesn't need to happen. If your child does not understand the subject well enough to get a C, they need to do additional work. If they didn't put in the work, they need to do additional work. It's pretty much a given. So you've got your various points here for how you're going to set up the grading criteria, things that need to be done, how many points are attached to them for a total of 100 points altogether. Notice there are different points, things that have a lot of weight to them, like assigned work being completed by a due date is going to carry more weight than the extra credit portion of assigned projects is completed. That's because you don't want a lot of focus on extra credit. You want a lot of focus on getting the work done when it's supposed to be done. Essays down here are completed using specified criteria. We're going to talk about that in just a minute. So let's come down here to an English literature class. Again, same grading scale, looking at the criteria. You've got things that pertain very specifically to this English literature course, including things like oral narration per book presented on demand. That carries a whole bunch of points with it, because that one you do not want your child just rolling their eyes and going, oh no, I don't want to do it. Okay, coming over here to essay grading criteria. By the way, I'm going to do a video on writing and how to grade writing and how to come up with writing assignments. I'm going to do a video on that because it's something I, again, get asked about all the time. But looking at the grading criteria, you have 3 sections: form, effort, and content. Form has to do with the actual essay itself. Does it look like an essay? Is it put together like an essay? Effort. Let's see, did we even try to make sentences that make sense? Yeah, that's very important. And then the content, which carries most of the points. Content has to do with, is this a well-written paper? End of discussion, right? So criteria like this can be extremely useful, particularly because you can take it to your student and say, well, have you done these things? Oh, then I guess you're not going to have an A, are you? It's that simple. Just remember, grades at this level are usually one more rule to be circumvented, cleverly of course. So try to experiment with more creative solutions before resorting to the grade book. And now we come to it, the high school years. And yes, this is the one stage where grades actually matter because transcripts? Yeah, this means grades do matter, but not as much to your homeschool as they do to outsiders. That first transcript page of course names and grades is like a waving flag, hello, in front of anyone evaluating your high schooler's homeschool education. It's what they understand, so it is where the eyes go, right? Now, in a conventional school, grades at this level take on a life of their own. Grade point average, better known as GPA, becomes a god to be worshipped. Oh yes. I cannot tell you how many times kids, or even worse, their parents, became downright tearful over 10 points on a quiz that meant the difference between a B+ or an A-. Even those students not college-bound still understood the perks of a high GPA by senior year. All kinds of special activities, the kind that get you out of class, oh yes, awaited those with the grades. And then there was the all-important question. How many points do I need to get an A or a B or a C? Because the precise calculations had been carefully planned to achieve the exact minimum effort required to maintain the necessary GPA. Sorry folks, this is not learning. What we need here is a balance. Yes, you have to come up with grades, but you don't have to be a slave to the letters on that transcript. Honestly, if your child is pursuing a post-high school education, you are going to provide tons, literally, of information beyond a one-page transcript. And that is what will be really important. Trust me, I've been there, okay? By the way, I will be making a video in the future all about transcripts and documentation, because this is one area that a lot of homeschoolers just lose their minds over. Okay, so anyway, back to high school. Remember that grading criteria we talked about for middle school? There, it was optional. Now it is required. You're going to base your grading on that criteria. By the way, I am not suggesting that you grade every subject the same way. Some things just don't lend themselves to an objective grading scale, like art, hello? And you can use maybe a pass, no pass kind of thing for those. But if quizzes or tests are involved, like in math, or you can attach a deadline, like for writing an essay, a letter grade should be the goalpost. Just saying here, if my classroom experience taught me anything, it was that Grades in high school need to be put in perspective. Be honest and expect your child to put in reasonable effort, but don't turn grades into the only thing that matters. High school should be an opportunity to explore strange new worlds, to seek out new life and new civilizations, to boldly go where no man has gone before. Yeah, without a cold bucket of grades hanging over your child's head, just waiting to douse any sign of enthusiasm. So there you have it. Everything you ever wanted to know about homeschool grading from, of all places, a classroom. And now, since you're so incredibly well equipped, I want you to go out there and teach like your hair's on fire, but in a practical, purposeful, positive way. You can do this because you are amazing.
Hey now, take a step outside and seize the day.